11th, 2017, and coming out of a newscast in Brazil a few days ago, it just so happens that a gentleman who is an amateur photographer was standing on his balcony outside of his apartment. And lo and behold, he sees this great big fireball object coming straight down out of the sky. And it just so happens that this man, who is from Sao Paulo, Brazil, very large, beautiful city in Brazil, he just happened to be on his balcony, and he was about to photograph the sunset. Why? Because he's an amateur photographer. He has absolutely phenomenal equipment, and what he captured was the same object that subscribers of mine captured on December 26th, 2016, in the skies over Lake Erie. Now, we had a lot of critics that said the photographs that we showed in that video pertaining to Lake Erie, it was a contrail lit up by the sun. But yet, I had the photographs analyzed by a new subscriber of mine who is an expert photographer. And he actually analyzed the photographs, he enhanced the photographs, and he clearly stated to me, Scott, that is not an airplane. It's clearly not a jet fighter with its afterburners on. Now I'm going to zoom into this and it will pixelize a little bit. But you can clearly see, where is the aeroplane? There is no aeroplane because it's not a plane. We don't know exactly what this object was over the skies of Lake Erie on December 26th, 2016, a day after Christmas. So what does this all have to do with a news report on national news in Brazil? Well, I'm going to show you. One of my subscribers, and I have a lot of subscribers in Brazil now, and they sent me the link to this investigative report by a news team in Sao Paulo, Brazil. And they interviewed the man who took the video footage of the same object on the same day and possibly at the same time. Now, here is a question that has arisen. The question that has arisen is, that object is in our atmosphere, isn't it? No, this object is not in our atmosphere. If this object was in our atmosphere and it was a very large planet, well, let's just say it would be catastrophic. But when you look up into the sky and you look at the moon when it is full, for instance, the supermoons that we had, is that moon in our atmosphere? But yet we can see it so clearly that you could actually see the details and the craters on the moon while standing on the Earth. Is the moon in our atmosphere? No, it's not. When you look up into the early evening sky and you see Venus burning brightly and it gets bigger and bigger, is Venus in our atmosphere? No, it is not. Is this object in our atmosphere as it was being photographed over Lake Erie on December 26th, 2016? I can't confirm 100% that it wasn't in our atmosphere, but I don't think it was. can a very large object pass by our planet outside of our atmosphere and be large enough for us to see it with our own eyes while standing on Mother Earth? Answer, of course, yes it is. We see asteroids fly by, meteors fly by. They're not in our atmosphere. But anyways, these were the photographs taken over Lake Erie the day after Christmas. Just doesn't look like a contrail to me. And I've seen plenty of these lit up contrails, and I am fully aware of what a highlighted contrail lit up by the rays of the setting sun looks like. But you say again, what does this have to do with Sao Paulo, Brazil? Well, let's just go find out. So I have translated this, and this in Portuguese means city alert. City alert. R7 TV out of Sao Paulo, Brazil. And the gentleman that you see here on your screen, he's an investigative reporter. He has a whole team. And they were sent a story of this man who videotaped right before sundown the same object that you just saw on the same day in a different country thousands of miles away. Now, the investigative news broadcast is in Portuguese, but I was lucky enough to have one of my fantastic subscribers in Brazil, Miranda, thank you very much. She translated the entire video and wrote it out for me in an email in a form of a script. Now it's rather lengthy, and we're going to skip around a little bit. But it is absolutely amazing that this man, who's an amateur photographer and has a very expensive camera with a very high definition zoom lens, and he videotaped this object. Now, was it a fireball? We can't confirm that. Was it the rogue planet Nibiru making an orbit? Anything's possible. Don't discount anything, because if you do, well, I don't know what to tell you. There are a lot of things zipping by our planet that the space agencies don't know about. We just had a flyby of a major asteroid, 24 hours ago? They just discovered it a few days ago? And it comes within 1/3 of the distance of the moon? They downplayed it. They always do. So we're supposed to have faith in this space agency that spends billions of dollars every year, funded by the government, who does take the taxes that we as citizens pay. So we're paying for protection that they can't even do it right. And they're out there tracking objects that are 20,000 years away. Who in the hell cares about a planet that is 20,000 years away? Just like they said 30 years ago about the Nemesis solar system. Oh, I don't care about that. I'll be dead and gone before that even gets near Earth. Well, you know what, NASA? We all feel the same, because in 20,000 years, none of us are going to be around to give a crap about Planet 9. But anyways, let's get straight into this report. Now, I'm just going to leave the sound I'm just going to leave the sound off. But I've already looked in detail at the script that Miranda wrote out for me. And once again, Miranda, thank you very much for doing that. I know it took a lot of time. But what the man is saying right now is he's talking about the video and how the man was out on his balcony getting ready to take sunset photographs of the sun setting over the beautiful city of Sao Paulo, Brazil. And off in the distance, he sees that object. So this investigative team immediately put themselves in gear. They contacted the man who took the photographs and the video, and they went and they talked to him. So we're going to go ahead and skip around a little bit in this video. Now, here is your investigative reporter. He's outside of the apartment building where the man lives, and he's talking about this object. And they referred to this object as a UFO, an unidentified flying object. And the video was then picked up by a few UFO channels on YouTube, and they portrayed this object as a UFO. But we can clearly see that that's not a UFO. UFOs, you know, they just, we know, they don't even look like that. So there you go. Kind of a coincidence that on December 26th, this Brazilian man standing on his balcony, getting ready to take photographs of the beautiful sunset, photographs the same identical object in the sky the father and son photographed on the shores of Lake Erie in the United States, thousands of miles away. Then he was intrigued by an object that he was seeing growing brighter and brighter and brighter in the sky. And we've been seeing this object periodically, since August, September of 2016. Some have said it is Venus. Some have said that it is a star. When I looked at the object that they just showed, I used my star map application, and it did not show up as Venus. Venus was in a different part of the sky and much, much lower, right above the horizon. Some have said, is it a satellite? I don't know. I don't think so. However, getting back to this video, the investigative news reporter team is about ready to talk to this man. And he kind of didn't want all of this notoriety. But when you videotape something of this magnitude, you're going to have to expect some type of attention. And they were kind of concerned about what they were seeing. Because was there a possibility that that was a very large meteor about ready to impact somewhere into South America or Brazil? You know, some of these cities, Rio de Janeiro, Sao Paulo, Brasilia, these are very heavily populated cities. Something of that magnitude would kill a lot of people. So right now in the video, he's talking to the man, and he's setting up what he was doing on that evening. And he was out on his balcony terrace on the top of the building, and he was getting ready to take these photographs of the sunset. And as he peered out over the city of Sao Paulo and the sun started to set, he saw the object. And we're going to go just jump in here just a little bit further. And now he's talking about his camera. Now that there does not look like the 10-cent cameras that we use to take photographs of the sky, as our foolish debunkers say we use 10-cent cameras. Well, this guy here, he's not using a 10-cent camera, and he's been an amateur photographer for many, many years. Now, at this point in the video, he's explaining to the investigative reporter about what section of the sky that he saw this object. Now, not only did he see this object, but later on in the footage, as it just floated downward, another object was clearly visible tailing this object. Now, I'm just going to put this out there. It is said that Nibiru has a moon that is very close to it. Now, before a bunch of people put words in my mouth, I'm not saying that this object that the man videotaped in Brazil is Nibiru. What I'm saying is that man's footage on December 26th matches the footage that was taken by the father and son in Erie, Pennsylvania on December 26th. Now, they bring in this guy, and he is the opposition, and he is going to try to debunk what was videotaped. There always has to be a debunker. So this man is going to define what a contrail, a lit-up contrail, looks like. And even though he has seen the video footage and has analyzed it, he's a little stumped. He gives his definition of ice crystals, the sun, contrails, an airplane, and he then says that he's unsure of what that object is in the video. He cannot clearly define what that is. Now, anybody who's ever seen a meteor zip by through the sky, they travel very, very, very fast. From 20,000 to 40,000 miles per hour once they've broken through our atmosphere. The atmosphere tends to slow them down quite a bit, and they leave a very, very long trail. If any of you haven't seen the video footage from Chelyabinsk, Russia, well, that meteor that came in left a very long trail for probably hundreds of miles. But what we're looking at here is an object that is very far away, that is not in our atmosphere. It's very far off. And for it to be that far off and to appear that large, well, it has to be a very large object. Could it have been some type of meteor or asteroid that was going by? Well, I checked into all of the meteor sightings on December 26th through the 27th. I found nothing. No sightings of meteors streaking across the sky, no fireballs listed. Just absolutely amazing that two people at different ends of the earth capture the same object at the same time, thousands of miles away. And once again, I'm going to go ahead and flip back to, the photographs from Lake Erie. I mean, folks, it's not an airplane. You can clearly see a lot of red all through the bottom here. And Nibiru is said to have, they call it the winged destroyer, these very long tails of debris that protrude and extrude from the planet. Now, once again, don't quote me in saying that what these people are seeing is Planet Nibiru, Planet X. But what I'm saying is there's a very big coincidence that two people photographed the same object at the same time, thousands and thousands of miles away in different countries. That is not a lit up contrail. There is no airplane in this photograph. I just find it very, very coincidental that these two men saw the same object, videotaped it at the same time. Absolutely amazing. There it is. Now, this is a short clip, same video. This was a UFO channel that picked it up. And you could see how far off in the distance it is. and then the man zoomed in, probably the maximum zoom that his camera would perform. I mean, honestly, does that look like an airplane? It's not a lit up contrail. I'm sorry. And again, if it is an airplane, it's doing a nosedive. But as you can see, this object is not moving as fast as a meteor would. Meteors, they just streak across the sky so fast that within a few seconds, they're gone. As long as they're not impacting the Earth, they just zip by. So what is the object? Yes, I'd have to agree. It's a UFO, an unidentified flying object, but not the kind of UFO that has your little green aliens in it. So as the evidence continues to mount, more and more people around the world are ready. They are camera ready to photograph anything that they see in the skies that just doesn't look right. And once again, I'm just going to go ahead and leave this video, and I'll put links to these two videos in the description box under the video, so you can go back and you could watch it yourself, and you can analyze it, and you can take it apart piece by piece, just like I did. Sat for hours, looked at the footage, and what I clearly see the same object that was photographed over Lake Erie on December 26th, the same day. Now, I'm not sure about the time frame, but these people took identical photographs of the same object on the same day. Either that was one hell of a large plane. I even had one idiot leave a comment and say, oh, that was old footage of the space shuttle. Oh, come on. Give me a break. So now we have a video corroborating the photographs out of Erie, and that video turns up thousands of miles away in another country. Huh. Well, there you go. It is my thought and my theory that, the possibilities of another mini solar system interacting with our solar system is a high possibility. Our solar system is massive. Our galaxy is massive. The universe is massive. Just because you point a telescope into a little teeny tiny section of space doesn't mean that you're going to see Planet X. Doesn't mean you're ever going to find it. I think a lot of times it is just chance that people are looking, they're prepared with a camera or a video camera, and they capture something. And now people around the world are becoming more and more aware of what is going on because they are starting to see very, very serious earth changes, climate changes, the influx in earthquake activity. Now we are seeing an influx in volcanic activity. I believe it was just yesterday. The deepest earthquake ever recorded in mankind happened yesterday. There was no catastrophic destruction, but that earthquake was the deepest ever recorded. But I guess for some of you out there, you'll say, well, that was just a natural occurrence. Okay, fine. But what's happening to our Earth right now just doesn't seem like a natural occurrence. The earthquakes around the world, once again, are increasing in magnitude. I mean, these earthquakes right here, let's just go ahead and take a quick look. These are right off of the islands, off of the coast of Alaska. 30 minutes ago, magnitude 5. Another magnitude 5.1. This might have something to do with volcanic activity. And volcanic activity is now increasing. Right down here in Central America, the volcano Mount Turrialba. In Costa Rica, the other day, 48 hours ago, it was issued that the whole entire San Jose area was under alert because of volcanic ash. Plumes of volcanic ash being ejected into the sky. Mount Turrialba. There are volcanoes that are very active right now. There has to be some release of pressure. Will it come from these volcanoes? Probably. Moving over to the South Pacific, most of the earthquakes on this particular map have already been removed. A 4.8, Philippines, 5.5. A stack of earthquakes in Papua New Guinea. 4.9, 5.5. There were some smaller earthquakes in Australia. They're gone. There were multiple earthquakes all around New Zealand. My earthquake tracker is picking them up every few minutes. And they're not little microquakes. They're magnitude 2, 2.5, 3, 3.5, 4. So we're going to go ahead and just check real quick. This is the last 24 hours of Europe. Magnitude 4.6, magnitude 4.5, 3.5. I mean, this is just 24 hours of earthquake activity in Europe. Let's check out the world over the last 24 hours. Magnitude 4.6. And these earthquakes in New Zealand, they're occurring right between the two islands. That's been going on for about 2 weeks now. 4.7, 5.1, 4.9, 5.2, 4.3, 4.4, 4.8, 4.2, 4.5, 4.6, 5.0, Mexico, 4.1, 4.3, 4.9, 4.4, 4.4. There's no doubt that something is disturbing the earth. And I'm going to be honest with you, it's just a matter of time before something occurs in the Cascadian Fault Line area up here near North America, California, Washington, Canada. And the same is going to apply between South America and New Zealand. One of these areas, back and forth, one of them or both of them are going to have a catastrophic earthquake soon. Very soon. And the possibilities, the same effect, back and forth of the pressure, back and forth. Eventually, the west coast of the United States, it's going to give. The Cascadian Fault Line over here near Washington, it's going to give. These two events on the west coast of the United States, they'll be catastrophic. If you think that it's not going to happen, you might want to think again. I'm not the only one talking about this. There are seismologists and scientists scrambling everywhere, all over the world, in every seismic office around the globe. They are literally scrambling for information. And to be honest with you, you can have all of the information in the world. It's not going to prevent what's going to happen. You're not going to stop a volcano from erupting. You're not going to stop a massive earthquake from destroying land. But what you can do with your technology and your knowledge is warn people. Warn people. But are there warnings? No. There's none. They're too worried about a damn planet that's 20,000 years away that they don't even know if it really exists. A lot of questions, no answers, like always. Let's just take a look at the 3D earthquake tracker here. I mean, this is just the last, well, let's see. That's about the last 24 hours. So as we turn it on, a magnitude 5.8, or excuse me, a 5.0 just struck. I mean, we are starting to get, let me just slow this down and back it up. And what's a little alarming is, you see this fault line? This is the Atlantic Ridge fault line. Runs right up through the Atlantic Ocean. We're already starting to see earthquake activity on this fault line. This big long spike here, that was the earthquake that registered as the deepest earthquake ever recorded. I think it was just yesterday. So for any of you that think this earthquake activity is no big deal, okay, well, sit back on your sofa, grab your popcorn, watch your soap operas. Don't pay any attention to my videos or anything going on out there with alternative news. You just stick to CNN. You know, looking at this earthquake tracker, this is only the last 24 hours. Only the last 24 hours. You want to see your mind blown? Here, watch this. Let's just take the last 7 days and take this slider and move it all the way down. Ooh, wow, where's your Mother Earth? Where is it? I'll tell you where it's at. It's under all of those earthquakes. Now, there's been some speculation that, oh, okay, you know, some of these earthquakes, oh, blah, 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 you know, they're due to fracking wells and geothermal engineering. Well, listen, you know, I was in the fracking industry for years, okay? The deepest wells that we drilled were 18,000 feet. And yes, under a major earthquake, all of these tapped wells, the casings, yeah, they're not that strong. They're not going to hold up to, you know, magnitude 6, 7, 8. You're going to see these gas wells exploding everywhere. I was in a gas well explosion. I spent 5 days in the hospital. I have the scars and the injuries to prove it. We lost one guy that day. We only found small bits and pieces of his bones after 3 wellheads blew right at the end of the fracking operation. They burned for 21 days. Professional fire crews from Texas came up, and they couldn't even touch these 3 wells burning. And they burned 10 years, 3 wellheads. They burned 10 years of gas in 21 days. I have photographs. I went down to the gas well site after I got out of the hospital after a few days. I signed myself out. 35 staples in my arm, stitches in my face, my fingers, a massive concussion, 2 black and blue eyes, and a busted face. So, I don't think all of these earthquakes have anything to do with fracking. Maybe some of the smaller ones, but after hearing the news about this deep earthquake, the deepest ever recorded, well, that sounds like a whole hell of a lot of bad news. There's going to come a point in time where you can't doubt the situation that's occurring anymore. There's entirely too much going on. Global warming? Give me a break. Someone needs to kick Al Gore right in the nuts. This has nothing to do with global warming. Yes, we do have a climate control going on, or excuse me, climate control, a climate change. But why is that? Is it because the ozone is depleting? Is that because of pollution? Is it because of man? Well, man probably has a little bit to do with it, but we weren't having all of these problems a year ago, were we? Our notorious nemesis solar system and this brown dwarf that supposedly came into our solar system a few years back may be the main cause of what is occurring. And once again, folks, I don't have access to everything that the boys in blue have access to. They have all the big supercomputers and all of the spacecraft, and they have all of the money, the education, and the technology. But yet there are men and women out there around this world that are recognizing the situations that are occurring on our planet, and they're trying to find the answers. And for those of you that ridicule us, well, you'll meet your maker one day. And when it's all said and done, before too long, your eyes may be wide open. And you're probably going to be the first one that craps your pants because you're scared. And like I've been saying, hey, listen, don't be scared. Just be prepared. There's nothing wrong in preparation. Whenever you wake up in the morning, before you go to work, you prepare yourself, don't you? Well, there's nothing wrong with preparing yourself for an emergency situation. And looking at our Earth right now, our Earth is literally screaming for help. But some of the people on this planet, they just don't care. They just want to go about their daily lives and, okay, whatever happens, happens. Well, okay, that's fine. But folks, I'm telling you, based on the evidence that we're seeing, there's something not so nice lurking in our solar system. I personally believe that it is right outside of our inner solar system. I'm going to go ahead and stop this earthquake tracker for a moment. And I just want to show you real quick. I'll just give you my theory. We'll pull up the solar system scope. Let this load. And You know, after researching some other people's work and looking at a lot of other theories and a lot of information, you really start to wonder what's really going on. We have so much coming in and out of our solar system on a second-by-second basis. People just don't even, they just don't even fathom what space is all about. It's massive. You know, and now, more than ever, we have these objects just all of a sudden appearing in our solar system, these near-Earth objects. And like I've said before, you know, NASA finds them when they're 1 or 2 days away. But yet, they have the best technology on the planet. Oh, they can find those asteroids that are, you know, 250 years away. But just like some of the senior Planet X researchers have said, that when this object and this system came through the asteroid belt, the Kuiper belt, naturally, the probability of it knocking other objects into our inner solar system was a very high probability. Very high probability. So what I wanted to show you is this is our solar system for today, January 11th. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to move the Earth around to about April, maybe a little further. And what we're going to start having are some planetary alignments: Venus, Earth, Jupiter. And what I've been finding in the research that I've been doing, and I have a little bit of help, and as far as the brown dwarf goes, everybody wants to know, where is it? Why can't we see it? Well, you're not going to see it directly from Earth, depending on where you're at, where the Earth is in its orbit around the sun. But I feel is right inside of the orbit of Jupiter. Right there where my cursor is. And by April, well, let's just say, let's move the Earth back. I feel that this object is right inside of the orbit of Jupiter and Saturn, right where my cursor is. And I feel as the Earth continues in its orbit around the sun, as we get closer and closer and closer, and we start to get closer and closer into the month of May, I think that we are going to be in a very, very critical situation. I hope I'm wrong. I've been studying other people's projections and looking at their information and what I have coming in, and a lot of things are starting to match up. And if you wonder, okay, well, let's just say, for instance, that this brown dwarf is situated in and around this area inside of the orbit of Jupiter. Would it be affecting Jupiter? Probably. Would it be affecting Saturn? Probably. Do we know what's going on with Jupiter right now? 100%? No. Do we know what's happening to Saturn? No. And if this brown dwarf is in the vicinity where I'm thinking that it is that what's affecting the sun? It has a perfect alignment with the sun. We can't see all of space. We cannot see all of the solar system all of the time. The eyes of NASA and the space organizations of this world are not that big, and they're not that sophisticated where they can keep an eye on all of our solar system all of the time. So is that what is happening to the sun? You know, Terrell from Black Star Project, his YouTube channel, Terrell's done a tremendous amount of work and investigation on his black star theory. Very, very, very credible. I've talked with Terrell. I respect his investigations and his research. Whether it's a black star, a brown dwarf, I don't care if it's a freaking purple star. Whatever is situated out there is affecting our sun, and in turn, it is affecting our planet. If you have a better theory or a better idea, hey, let me know. Email me. Put it all out there. I did have a gentleman about a month ago who was basically, you know, anonymous. He used a brand new email address that I can't email him back, and he emailed me this massive report on his studies over the years of Planet X and this brown dwarf. He's obviously some type of physicist or astrophysicist, because the mathematical equations that are in these documents are, well, you know, they're way beyond me. These are like chalkboard type mathematical equations. You need to be a brainiac to understand it, but he does break a lot of it down into layman's terms to help me understand it. He's been watching this, calculating and absorbing the information since 2011. In the opening of his email, he states, "Scott, I'm getting very old now. I may not see what is about to happen. I may not live to see this day." He further stated in his email, he said, I respect your spunk and your tenacity to find out the truth. But it's hard to find the truth when so many are trying to deceive you. So therefore, I want to show you my work. And then there was a zipped up file. I downloaded it, I opened it, and I started reading. And it does give some calculations on the distance of this brown dwarf in our solar system. And it's about, I think the calculation was about 780 million miles away, which would put it very close to the inner orbit of Jupiter. And that was the distance from the brown dwarf to the sun, not the brown dwarf to the Earth. 780 million miles. And in space, that's not a far distance. And if you've done any research on brown dwarfs, they are a very, very strong, powerful celestial body. They wreak havoc everywhere they go. I really wasn't going to release this information because this will bring out more and more of the trolls and the debunkers. But, you know, when people debunk videos, they really don't come up with any credible evidence themselves. They just make fun of you. They call you crazy. They call you fake. But yet, they don't do any research. They come out with fancy words, fancy models, some terminology, but they never come up with their own investigation, their own proof. They're not researching anything but trying to make a fool out of you. So, I thought about releasing that paper, those documents, and I probably will, to the right people. It's a very, very, very lengthy report. And it also talks about these asteroids and comets moving into our solar system. I spent some time today on the Near Earth Object website, of JPL, NASA, and I was quite alarmed at what I was reading, and I haven't been on that site for about a month now. The amount of these objects that are just coming out of nowhere is something else that's very alarming. Because if we only have 1 or 2 days notice on an object the size of Manhattan, New York, coming at us, what the hell are we supposed to do? I think the only thing you could do at that particular time is probably pray. And speaking of praying, I've never really been that religious of a man. But as of lately, I've been noticing that in the comment section of my past 10 videos, I've noticed a lot of people taking religious pokes at other people in the comment section of the videos. People who have faith, people who follow a religion. Very disturbing comments, calling people filthy names about their religious beliefs. And if you're wondering, these comments get deleted, and I will continue to delete them because every human being has their own right and their own will. And if you want to be a Christian, that's fine. If you want to study Judaism or Buddhism, hey, whatever your faith is, I'm glad that you have it. And for the people that say to me, hey, Scott, God bless you for everything that you're doing, for bringing us this information, I see that's where some of these comments come in. Your God, and then all of the profanity. I have a mouth on me also, folks, when I get heated. But I don't ridicule people based on their religion. And for anybody in the comment section of my videos that's doing that, I will report you to YouTube, and your comments will be deleted, and you will be barred and banned from my channel. Sure, the trolls know how to go back and use Google+, but folks, if you want to talk about your religion in the comment section of any of my videos, you are more than welcome to. If you want to say a prayer, or you want to bless me and say a prayer for me, thank you. I'll do the same for you. But folks, I'm just being honest with you. I truly think that we have a very, very serious situation. I'm going to go ahead and just bump out of this solar system for a minute. And I want to bring up our Earth model pertaining to the weather. Because what I've been noticing over the past month is the situation with our weather is just absolutely crazy. Today, where I live, it should be the middle of January. It should be about 25 degrees. It's the dead of winter. But guess what? It was 54 degrees today. 54. I could have went outside in shorts. The grass is growing. I may need to mow it. But yet a few days before that, the temperatures were down around between 5 degrees and 8 degrees Fahrenheit. Other sections of the world are having very serious situations as far as their weather. And I'm going to go ahead and just move into let me just set these up here real quick. And we're going to spin our globe around. And there are sections of the world right now that are in an absolute deep freeze. I'm just clicking through these. And some parts of the United States right now, all through up tier of down, all these are very, very cold Arctic temperatures. And they are stretching all the way across the globe. The jet stream is completely out of control. I talked to an individual earlier today, a 2-hour conversation. We talked about this particular jet stream. We shared the screen, and he told me specifically what we are seeing right now is very abnormal. He used the word scary, a scary situation. And this is looking down at what is supposed to be the North Pole. And the temperatures around the globe are brutal. And if we turn our globe and look at the South Pole, once again, you know, he told me that this jet stream that we're seeing around the South Pole is also very, very erratic. It's not normal as what we're used to seeing. And even ocean temperatures around the globe, ocean temperatures are still relatively warm. And looking at the equator, this is supposed to be the hottest region on our planet. The temperatures are actually somewhat cooler around the equator, all the way around the globe. And this right here, this shows you the temperatures. Now, we could move up here back to the North Pole, and we'll just use this part of Canada. If you click on it, it'll give you that little green circle right there in the purple. Temperature, minus 37.3 degrees Celsius. I'm not that good with the conversions, so let's just plug that in. And let's see what it is. Minus 37 degrees. Minus 34.6 degrees Fahrenheit. And we could go up here into the deeper, this is Greenland. Yeah, it's a relatively cold place. Minus 47 degrees Celsius. But as you can see, this massive swath of Arctic air, it's almost like the North Pole just split in half. And this cold Arctic air, literally moving down all through Siberia and Russia. Well, yes, it's Siberia. It should be cold. It always is. But for all of this to be sinking this low. And then you have areas like, for instance, the UK. I mean, it is almost the middle of January. I have a lot of people that subscribe to my channel in the UK. They've been sending me emails constantly about the crazy weather that they've been having. Right now, the temperature 3.2 degrees Celsius. (37 degrees Fahrenheit) in the UK in the middle of January. And as far as the temperatures on the equator go, me and this gentleman were talking about this today, and we'll just click right on the equator. 24.4 degrees, 76 degrees on the equator. 76 degrees at that point, right there. Now, I know some places were having a heat wave a few weeks ago, like, Australia. They were having a very, very harsh heat wave. I have a lot of subscribers in Australia that talked about this. Just click right here. Temperature 34.6 degrees. 94.28 degrees Fahrenheit. Right where my little green circle is. Well, it's Australia. They've got pretty severe weather. Summertime, it's hot. But being the equator, and it's supposed to be the warmest place on the planet. 24.4 degrees centigrade. Let's see here. Well, 75 degrees on the equator, right outside of South America. But it's very cold. As this cold air is sinking down, I don't care what you want to call it, polar vortex, it's cold. But for other regions, over here on the East Coast, (41 degrees. Now today, like I said, our weather was 54 degrees, and it's almost the middle of January on the East Coast. In California, the poor folks out in California, they are being inundated with the flooding, the mudslides. It's just a very, very bad situation right now in the state of California. We're only hoping that the situation doesn't grow bleak, because they've been having swarms of earthquakes up and down the San Andreas Fault for over a week now. But there you have it, folks. The detailed information that just came out of Brazil that coincides with the photographs from Erie, Pennsylvania on December 26th, 2016. It's not a coincidence. What's happening to the earth right now, it's not normal. It's just not normal. The earthquake situation, I'll be honest with you, that's what gets to me the most. Because out of everything that I have researched over the years, and everything that I've been told, speaking with credible people, the first real sign will be the incredible increase of earthquake activity. If you have any questions pertaining to any of the information that was in this video, just drop me an email. Don't even bother putting them in the comment section of the videos. I like to keep those open for everyone to discuss the video. Bypass the trolls and the bad people. Forget what they say. Move past them. If you have very serious questions about the information, you can email me at nibiru-planetx2016@gmail.com. The email will be in the description box underneath this video. Stay tuned. We will have additional reports. Thank you for watching. Hello everybody, welcome back to the Nibiru channel. It is January 11th, 2017, And coming out of a newscast in Brazil a few days ago, it just so happens that a gentleman who is an amateur photographer was standing on his balcony outside of his apartment. And lo and behold, he sees this great big fireball object coming straight down out of the sky. And it just so happens that this man, who is from Sao Paulo, Brazil, very large, beautiful city in Brazil, he just happened to be on his balcony, and he was about to photograph the sunset. Why? Because he's an amateur photographer. He has absolutely phenomenal equipment, and what he captured was the same object that subscribers of mine captured on December 26th, 2016, in the skies over Lake Erie. Now, we had a lot of critics that said the photographs that we showed in that video pertaining to Lake Erie, it was a contrail lit up by the sun. But yet, I had the photographs analyzed by a new subscriber of mine who is an expert photographer. And he actually analyzed the photographs, he enhanced the photographs, and he clearly stated to me, Scott, that is not an airplane. It's clearly not a jet fighter with its afterburners on. Now I'm going to zoom into this and it will pixelize a little bit. But you can clearly see, where is the aeroplane? There is no aeroplane because it's not a plane. We don't know exactly what this object was over the skies of Lake Erie on December 26th, 2016. A day after Christmas. So what does this all have to do with a news report on national news in Brazil? Well, I'm going to show you. One of my subscribers, and I have a lot of subscribers in Brazil now, and they sent me the link to this investigative report by a news team in São Paulo, Brazil. And they interviewed the man who took the video footage of the same object on the same day and possibly at the same time. Now, here is a question that has arisen. The question that has arisen is, that object is in our atmosphere, isn't it? No, this object is not in our atmosphere. If this object was in our atmosphere and it was a very large planet, well, let's just say it would be catastrophic. But when you look up into the sky and you look at the moon when it is full, for instance, the supermoons that we had, is that moon in our atmosphere? But yet we can see it so clearly that you could actually see the details and the craters on the moon while standing on the Earth. Is the moon in our atmosphere? No, it's not. When you look up into the early evening sky and you see Venus burning brightly and it gets bigger and bigger, is Venus in our atmosphere? No, it is not. Is this object in our atmosphere as it was being photographed over Lake Erie on December 26th, 2016? I can't confirm 100% that it wasn't in our atmosphere, but I don't think it was. can a very large object pass by our planet outside of our atmosphere and be large enough for us to see it with our own eyes while standing on Mother Earth? Answer, of course, yes it is. We see asteroids fly by, meteors fly by. They're not in our atmosphere. But anyways, these were the photographs taken over Lake Erie the day after Christmas. Just doesn't look like a contrail to me. And I've seen plenty of these lit up contrails, and I am fully aware of what a highlighted contrail lit up by the rays of the setting sun looks like. But you say again, what does this have to do with Sao Paulo, Brazil? Well, let's just go find out. So I have translated this, and this in Portuguese means city alert. City alert. R7 TV out of Sao Paulo, Brazil. And the gentleman that you see here on your screen, he's an investigative reporter. He has a whole team. And they were sent a story of this man who videotaped right before sundown the same object that you just saw on the same day in a different country thousands of miles away. Now, the investigative news broadcast is in Portuguese, but I was lucky enough to have one of my fantastic subscribers in Brazil, Miranda, thank you very much. She translated the entire video and wrote it out for me in an email in a form of a script. Now it's rather lengthy, and we're going to skip around a little bit. But it is absolutely amazing that this man, who's an amateur photographer and has a very expensive camera with a very high definition zoom lens, and he videotaped this object. Now, was it a fireball? We can't confirm that. Was it the rogue planet Nibiru making an orbit? Anything's possible. Don't discount anything, because if you do, well, I don't know what to tell you. There are a lot of things zipping by our planet that the space agencies don't know about. We just had a flyby of a major asteroid, 24 hours ago? They just discovered it a few days ago? And it comes within 1/3 of the distance of the moon? They downplayed it. They always do. So we're supposed to have faith in the space agency that spends billions of dollars every year, funded by the government, who does take the taxes that we as citizens pay. So we're paying for protection that they can't even do it right. And they're out there tracking objects that are 20,000 years away. Who in the hell cares about a planet that is 20,000 years away? Just like they said 30 years ago about the Nemesis solar system.